Hi friends, welcome to Harmony Hills Home and Garden. I'm Jenny and we're gardening here in Baltimore, Maryland, Zone 7. Today I am going to start my weekend update video that has become somewhat of a tradition over the last couple of weeks. And I think this weekend is going to be the weekend of putting seedlings into the ground. I started a lot of seeds this year in my basement, and now some of them, a lot of them, maybe all of them, are ready to put into the ground. So come along with me and let's have a weekend full of getting things in. You may have already seen that I put in the sweet peas and the sugar snap peas on my pea trellises. I did that in another video, so I'll link that up above if you want to take a peek at that. And so also in the same day, later in the afternoon, I did some more things. Let me give you a look at it. Down the hill from my peas, I put in a bunch of foxgloves, and so these are little tiny starts, and they will put on growth this season. They'll grow into a nice small plant, and then next season in the spring next year they'll put up stalks and they will bloom. In order to kind of integrate the fence and make it not such a wall barrier, I put some foxgloves on the other side of the fence as well as this side over here, down in right up against the fence and down into those little bits of what is that, vinca minor there, and among the hostas and the Spanish bluebells and things that are there. So we'll have, hopefully next year, we'll have foxgloves that bloom on both sides of this fence. Here we are over by the patio. This is the flower bed that we expanded by a couple of feet. And right over here is the rose that I planted a little while ago, and 3 Japanese bottle brushes and some rose lilies. Well, today I put in some snapdragons. I had winter sowed a bunch of snapdragons in this tray. This was dwarf snaps and tall snaps, but they seem to have all gotten mixed up. So I just am taking these seedlings out and planting them into the soil here. I'm putting them in some compost, a little bit of biotone starter, which I'm out right now. My little cup is empty. And I just put them into a kind of a mass right here. So hopefully these will flush out and bush out and put out flowers. I've never grown snapdragons from seeds, so this is all an experiment. And then on this side of the path, there's the snaps over there. Over by the candy tuft, in front of them, I put 7 ranunculus. These are ranunculus that I picked up at the garden center as bare root, and I had planted 12 of them and 7 of them came up. So the other 5 rotted away, I guess, and back to the soil they go. But there are 7 here. I've never grown ranunculus before, so again, another experiment. I do have more room along here to put more annuals, and of course, lots of room for annuals all along here, or perennials, or whatever. So it's Friday evening. My husband just got home from work, and it's time for me to go in and make dinner and do the evening routine. So we'll be back out tomorrow. It's supposed to be okay weather in the morning and then rain in the afternoon. So we'll see how much we can get done this weekend. It's a beautiful Saturday morning, and I just wanted to share with you how the azaleas are looking. With the sun rising over the trees, there's a pink azalea down there, 2 white ones, 1 more pink one behind the arborvitaes, and then over by the stage we've got some pink azaleas as well. And they're just so pretty. I'm really happy with the placement of the pink ones around the yard. They kind of draw your eye around the yard. There's a lot messy down there. There's a lot still of work to be done, and but I can see in my mind's eye how it's coming together. I hope you can too. Dave is working on getting some sod out of the back part so that it can come up and be put in where the picnic table used to be. And I am working on my second cup of coffee, and I'll be getting out in the yard very soon, but not yet. Okay, I got my act together. I finished my coffee. Now it's time for me to get moving too. Can't let Dave do all the work around here. So today I am going to try to get a bunch of my seedlings and my pre-sprouted bulbs and corms into the ground today. So I'm going to start with this tray of ranunculus. These were 12 ranunculus corms that I purchased where? I absolutely forget where I purchased them. But anyway, they've been sprouting in this tray and they're ready to go into the ground. And I think I'm going to put them down here in this area in front of the arborvitae, kind of in front of the lavenders and this false cypress. So let me get those into the ground. Dave's working right over there next to me with the getting the sod out. So if you see or hear movement over there, that's what that is. Just a couple of quick notes. This soil is pretty terrible quality as far as nutrients are concerned. So I have some compost here that I'm going to be spreading across here and mixing into the top. I'm also going to be using Biotone starter fertilizer to help the plants really do well. And then I will water them in very deeply, and then I will mulch over top of here to try to keep the moisture into the soil. Need more compost. Okay, we're firmly into the part of gardening where I do a lot of standing around and looking at things, trying to envision what things will look like once they are grown, trying to envision what it could look like if I put this there or put that over there. And it takes me a long time to figure these things out. And the good thing is that for perennials, at least, nothing is permanent. You can generally move perennials pretty easily without too much drastic damage to them. Trees and shrubs, I like to try to get into their spots first time, although I have moved some shrubs today, so not today, but this year. So anyway, I've been standing around and I've been looking at things, trying to envision how things are going to look, and trying to figure out where to put my gladiolus in particular. I have two varieties of glads. Some are pink and some are purple. I have the specific variety names written down in my journal. I'll put them up on the screen if you care about that. And I think what I'm going to do, I had two options. Well, I had bajillion options, but the two that I was considering was put all the purples in one spot and put all the pinks in a different spot. But what I think I've decided to do instead is mix them up and do an assortment of both pink and purple mixed. And then I'll have two clumps of that. And let me show you where I think I'm going to put it. So the arbor, as you may remember, we have a pathway that's going to go through the arbor, and then it will break off into two sections. It will go left over to the gate, and it will go right over to the hammock, which, by the way, we could get up, set up pretty soon. And so I'm thinking that in this curve behind the arbor, before it splits off, there's a little curve on both sides where there's currently still grass, but just right there and right there. It would be nice to have stands of gladiolas. They'll be about that tall on both sides. And if we mix them and put pinks and purples both together, then that will be a really nice symmetry on both sides of the arbor. And it will help with the effect of a pathway going off that way. And it'll help frame the arbor, especially in this summer when most of the things that are planted around the arbor will be young and not very big. The glads will help frame it and add some beauty down there. So I think that's the plan. So the first thing I'm going to do is take out the grass that's there, and then I will bring in some compost, and then I will plant the glads that I've got started, and then I will mulch it. That job is a workout, and you might be thinking, Jenny, why don't you use the no dig method, where that's where you lay cardboard or newspaper down and then you pile it high with compost and then you plant into the compost that you've piled. And the reason we didn't do that this year is because mainly I don't have any experience with that method, and I wanted zero chance of this grass coming up in my beds this season. I really wanted this to be a successful get rid of the grass, have a beautiful garden season. So that's mainly why. It is a lot of work to do it this way, and yes, there's a chance that I'm disturbing weed seeds that are under the sod that could be coming up later, but I think I'd rather fight those kinds of weeds one at a time by hand than fight this entire area of grass. So that's mainly why we're doing the sod removal. Second reason is that we do have areas in the yard where we would like to have some sod. First being where the picnic table was. Dave has finished, and I'll show you later, Dave has finished putting sod into that area to complete the lawn up over here. But also on the south side of our yard, on the other side of the driveway near the compost pile and the garbage bins and things like that, there's a big area down there that is just bare earth. And so Dave's been putting this sod material down onto that to try to get something, at least not just bare earth down there. And I told him there's all kinds of weeds in this lawn, and he's like, I don't care, I'd rather have something rather than just bare earth. So that's why, but it is a bit of a chore to get this sod out. So anyway, it's done. The other thing I wanted to mention is that scale is so deceiving. When I stand behind the camera, the view that you have right now, and I look at this area, I think, oh, I just have to remove, I don't know, 2 square feet, 2 feet square, 4 square feet. I majored in math. You'd think I know how to do this. Anyway, about this big of an area, and it's not too bad. But when you go over there, you find out, no, the area of sod that we just removed is 5 feet long and 3 feet wide. So everything is deceiving scale-wise. Okay, anyway, so the sod is out. Next is compost going in, then planting, then water, then mulch. Upside down tomato cages to kind of visualize where I want my clumps of gladiolas to be. They'll be about 3 or 4 feet tall once they're fully grown, and so these tomato cages give me some sort of visual representation of where they might be. It also helps me visualize the relative spacing from the left to the right. We've got the optical illusion of the downward slope that goes down toward this corner, so nothing ever looks like I expect it to look when I stand back. So I'm going to use these tomato cages to find my spot. Tricky because I want it to look symmetric from a lot of different angles. Mainly when I'm up here in this section of the yard, I want to look down and feel like the gladiolas are roughly symmetrical on the arbor. But also when I go through there and I'm on the path, I don't want one of them to physically actually be significantly different distance from the path. So I'm just going to play around with it a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to say that placement is good enough, and so now it's break time and then planting time. This is one of my trays of gladiolas that I'm going to be planting. These are purple, and I will put the variety name up on the screen. I got these at the discount grocery store called Lidl. I think it's called Lidl. And I planted 15 of them. I've got 12 here. This one never came up. And then there were 2 more that got some sort of white fungal something or other on the top of the soil. So I don't think I'm going to plant those because in case they're diseased, I don't want to infect the rest of my plants. So I have a dozen of these, and these are going to be mixed up, 6 on each side. And this is the tray of pink gladiolas. I got these at the Dollar Tree. So I have a dozen of them here. I got 2 packs for $1 each. So $2 worth of gladiolas here, plus a little bit of time and soil. So not a bad investment. I think that's my placement, but I'm going to stand back and look. Yeah, I think that's going to work. I'm just going to stick these in the ground. I'm going to use Osmocote. No, I'm not going to use Osmocote. I'm going to use Biotone starter fertilizer. I'm going to just put each one in its own hole, put a little fertilizer in there and tuck it in, and then water them in. My camera is running low on battery, and I don't have my auxiliary battery nearby, so if it runs out of battery, that's what's going to happen. Real quick before my phone battery dies, let me show you how they look once they're in their place. All right, we can stand here. See, there's a clump of a dozen gladiolas over here and a clump of a dozen gladiolas over here. And we walk through here. Now, this path is not going to stay grass. It will eventually be mulched just like the rest of the border. It's just that for ease of working in this area right now, we're leaving the grass until we absolutely need to take it out. All right, so here's the glads on the south side, downhill side, and over here the glads on the north side. I've got 6 of each of the pink and the purple in here, and I spaced them about 8 inches apart from each other. I've got an outer ring of 8 and an inner ring of 4 on both sides. The purple ones are the shorter ones. They were slower to start, even though they were a more expensive bulb and they were a bigger bulb. The purple ones have not been as robust as the pink ones, so we'll see how they look when they bloom. Anyway, there we go. So it needs compost. No, it has compost. It needs mulch and water. And then those are in. Yay! So I got the compost spread around the glads and actually all the way down to this edge of the grass. And over here, same thing, except look at this. I've got this clump of grass here that is just mocking me, telling me it's time to get it out of there. So that's my next job. Thinking about where to put violas. Once you have violas, you have them forever. So where do I want them? I love the wild violets we have all throughout the yard. I love pansies. I love violas as well. So violas. Violas are the plant, violas are the musical instrument. Okay, so I think along the driveway fence here is where it's going to go. As you can see, we have lots of blue blooming here in the spring. We got vinca blooming, we've got Spanish bluebells, and coming along we've got some English wood hyacinths coming along. So I think the purple of the violas will be very welcome. And also we have an erosion problem down the way, so we're going to go take care of that with some of these plants as well. So here we are down the driveway a bit. It's pretty green and lush up this way with all the hostas and the vinca and we have tradescantia here and some other things. But here we've got an erosion problem. So this is where violas are going to go. And there we go. Now we've got about a 6-foot section of violas planted. They're amongst some English wood hyacinth, hosta. This is tradescantia or spiderwort. Up there we have some vinca trying to get started. And then we've got a ton of the spiderwort there, but here are the ditch lilies, the orange, invasive, native daylilies. And the reason we have this erosion problem here is because we used to have a whole hillside full of ditch lilies. Well, we tried to take them out. You can see we didn't get them all out, but when we took them out, it caused an erosion problem. So we're trying to fix that by encouraging the vinca, and with these violas, hopefully that will help as well. So after lunch and after I planted those violas over on the driveway side, I came up here to attack this sod and get it taken care of. And it is a thing of beauty. Let me show you for real. All right, you may remember that this morning, this shrub and this clematis and this catmint were planted, but everything else in here was grass all the way over to here. So all of this grass got cut out today and covered with compost, and more grass in the back got taken out as well, but we haven't got the compost back there. So now we can see the edge of the new lawn all the way around the yard. It is fantastic. So I'm so pleased with the progress that we made today, getting this sod taken up and putting the compost down. It's supposed to rain overnight, probably an inch of rain tonight. And then tomorrow we'll come back out and we'll get this grass out. We'll get the grass over to this side of the pathway done, and we'll get compost laid there. And then hopefully we'll get some plants in here, and then we'll mulch them, and then we'll be well on our way. Same thing on this side. I'd like to get the rest of this grass right back there taken out tomorrow, so that at least we have the grass up to the pathway taken out, and then get compost in there. So yeah, it's coming along. Again, the path inside this garden area will not be grass for the long run, but in the short term, while we're still working, it just makes sense to leave the grass so that we don't have muddy feet the whole time. And up here at this side of the lawn, Dave got the picnic table area filled in with sod, and then he sprinkled some compost over top in some of the spots to fill in the cracks between the sod clods. So we'll keep this moist, and hopefully this lawn patch will work, and we'll have a nice, beautiful, expansive lawn all the way across there later in the summer. I mean, it's got weeds in it and stuff. It's not the perfect lawn or anything, but it's better than a big brown patch full of mulch is what it was this morning. So yeah, it's coming along. We have made good progress today. It's going to rain here soon, so we're calling it a day for today, and we'll be back out tomorrow, Sunday, to do more. Good morning. It's bright and early. Well, it's not terribly early. It's like 9:15 or 9:30 Sunday morning, and we are back at it. Last night we got rain overnight, sorry about the yard tools. There's some big work going on down there. Anyway, last night we got about 2/3 of an inch of rain, slow and steady rain over the course of the whole overnight period. So everything now is nice and moist. The ground is nicely saturated, and so it's a perfect day to be spreading mulch on top of the moist soil. You really don't want to put your mulch on top of dry soil, because then it just locks in the dryness, and it takes just that much extra water to get down through the mulch to water the soil. So watering first and then mulching is perfect. So thank you, Mother Nature, for helping us with that task. So mulching today, more compost spreading, more grass digging, and more seedling planting. That is the task of the day. I'm going to be starting with this tray that's mostly filled with foxglove starts. These were the ones that I did inside. I already planted some foxgloves that were winter sown. These are indoor sown, and I think I'm going to plant them kind of a little bit in front of and around in a clump like this around this arborvitae. Maybe I'll put some over on this side too. Yeah, I probably will. I'll probably go all the way across here with these. Now, these are not going to bloom this year. These are biennial, so they will grow their plant this year, and next year they'll bloom. So this is an investment. Now, each of these foxglove cells has more than one plant in it. You can see I didn't thin them. And so I'm just going to plant them as clumps and let them duke it out. The strongest one can survive, and I'm just going to deal with it that way. So yeah, may the best plant win. Okay, there are all the foxgloves from the indoor sowing put into the ground. Down here near the arborvitae, they'll be in kind of a swath, kind of in front of the arbs and behind the quince. I don't have any idea how fast this quince is going to grow. So I'm thinking it's a pretty good bet that when these foxgloves grow tall next year, the branches of the quince will not interfere with them. But if they do, I'll deal with it later. I have these 10 cells of Gomphrena, Las Vegas variety. I've never grown, well, I've pretty much never grown anything from seed, but I've certainly never grown Gomphrena from seed, and I think that I have cold shocked them. They were lovely, healthy plants when I started to harden them off, but yeah, I think I have made them too cold, and so most of the plants are like either dead or close to it. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 plants that might survive. So yeah, I think, what am I going to do with these? What am I going to do? I was going to plant them right here in this spot right here and see how they did. But maybe I'll take them in and keep them under lights inside for a little while longer and see what they do. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take them back inside for a little bit. Next up, I have these indoor sown snapdragons. I believe these are the tall mix varieties, but they don't look very tall, do they? Some of them have grown better than others, and I have pinched off the tall ones. I've not pinched off the short ones. So I think these snaps are going to go in this bed, kind of snuggled around these nandinas. So I do have other snapdragons already in the ground. Those were my winter sown ones, and they're over there by the rose bush. So we're gonna be able to compare which of them does better than the other. Okay, that is 13 tall snapdragons that were indoor sown, put into the ground, and you cannot see many of them because they're so tiny and they look like weeds, but we're gonna keep an eye on them and hopefully they'll do well. Dave's working hard on the mulch. He's really the brawn behind this operation. I got him this shirt for Father's Day a couple of years ago. Stand still for a sec, Dave. There we go. Specializing in mowing, edging, pruning, mulching, burning brush, weeding, digging holes, and generally keeping the missus happy. There you go.
I'm the crew.
You're the crew.
Crew.
You're good crew. My stockpile has drastically been diminished over the last couple of days. Woohoo! Making progress. All right, the next thing to go in are these snapdragons. I have snapdragons for days, apparently. These are supposed to be dwarf variety snapdragons, but they look the same as the tall variety snapdragons, so I'm not sure what the difference is going to be. Of these 24 plants here, there looks like there's about 12 good plants, so I'll plant the big tall ones somewhere, and the short ones, they may be the sacrifice to the compost pile, helping their, send good wishes to their brethren. So we'll see about that. I don't know. Anyway, I got to go find another spot for more snapdragons. Okay, I think I'm going to put 6 of them over here in amongst these wild violets, and then 6 of them over here amongst these wild violets, and try to get something a little bit symmetric going again around the stage area. So that's my plan. Let's do that. And looking at this spot a little bit closer, I do remember that this hosta gets actually quite a bit bigger than it is right now, and I made the mistake last year of planting things too close to it. So I'm going to actually aim for this area over here for the snaps, and symmetrically on the other side I'll do the same. Okay, there we have 6 dwarf snapdragons, mixed varieties in here. There's 1 there, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The violets that are in here will get a little bit bushier over the course of the summer after they're done blooming, but that's fine. It'll be a nice little green spot with the snapdragons coming up around them. So hopefully we'll be able to replicate this on the other side of the stage over there. All right, there are actually 7 dwarf snapdragons in here around these violets. It's not perfectly symmetric, but nothing in nature is, so it's all good. I tell you what, taking a break down here on the stage, looking at everything we've accomplished, it is very gratifying. Even with all the tools out, even with the yard work happening down the way and the noise, even though I know we're not finished, I'm just so gratified with how things are coming together. This view especially right here. Yeah, that's just so nice. Next up, I think these African daisies are going to find a home in the ground somewhere. Let's do it. Okay, that's about 18 or 20 African daisy seedlings in the ground next to the white azalea and the false cypress. And down the way are some ranunculus that I planted yesterday. So, I've never grown African daisy. I've never grown ranunculus. I've never grown a lot of these things. So, we'll see how they do. Oh, sorry about that noise again. Several hours have passed since I last made a video, and lots has happened. We've got all the sod out from the yard up to the path on both sides, and we're in the middle of spreading the compost into this area. Dave's got almost all the mulching done on the main oval of the lawn, and I have moved one of the azaleas. Let me show you the progress. All right, here we are. We are behind the arbor right now. And you can see Dave has got the mulch spread all the way down the row, all the way to the arbor, and on the other side of the arbor over to the stage. And back this way, a little bit not finished back here. We're still working on that. Okay, also, we got all the sod cut out up to the path. And now we're working on getting compost laid on here to improve the soil. Also, I took out the last of the 4 pink azaleas. It was up there by that tree, and I've moved it down to be next to the pathway. And this location, you can also see it from the porch up at the top. So I wanted to be able to see all of the azaleas from the porch, and so now I can. And so now my next job is I'm going to move this hosta and I'm going to move this hosta. I think I'm just going to make them in a row, a curvy row over to the gate. And so let me get that going. I'm so excited. Oh my goodness, look how it's coming together. Go through here. Ignore that big pile of sod. It is slowly moving to a different spot. And come along here. We have a beautiful azalea. We have our hostas that lead us to the gate. I'm gonna dig up this hosta and divide it and make it into 2. And so then we'll have another row of hostas over here. Oh, it's coming together, folks. I need a plan for this area behind the azalea. I think I'm putting red twig dogwoods here, maybe. I mean, I have them on order. I just don't know if that's where they're going. There's a lot of unknown things in here. This whole area is unknown except for roughly right about here. There will be an obelisk with a climbing rose on it. So it's coming together though. Well, friends, I couldn't be more happy with the way the back garden is coming along. We've got all that sod cut out. We've got all the compost spread, and we got a layer of mulch put down all the way up to the path. Let me show you around. Doesn't it look fantastic? The mulch is 2 different colors because one of them is wetter than the other, but they'll both be the same color after they both dry. So we got all that sod taken out. We laid down compost and then mulch. We got some plants moved. We've got tons of planting space available. So it has really come together this weekend. It's fantastic. I'm so happy. And by the way, the man of the hour is Dave, who moved so many wheelbarrowfuls of dirt and mulch today. It's fantastic. And this side is done all the way up to there. So we're taking the next task is to get the weeds and the wild onions out of this area before we lay down new mulch. So it's a kind of an easier job to do and a relaxing one. So we're gonna do that for a little while. Well, we're getting near the end of the day. It's been a long afternoon of hard work, but I did stick a few more things into the ground. Let me give you a look. Down here in front of the arborvitaes and the flowering quinces near the ranunculus and the lavender, I plopped in 1 hosta. This is the hosta that you may remember was back by the gate, and it had gotten buried underneath a big pile of heavy clay soil, and it valiantly fought its way to the surface. So it's a little tall and skinny and a little bit draggled, but it'll flush out pretty well, I think, and this will be a nice spot for it. And if it turns out that it's too much sun here for it, I'll just move it. That's easy enough. Also down this way, put another hosta in right there. Again, this one's a bedraggled one. It was also under the soil up by the gate back there. And so I dug it out and saved it. And it'll be fine. It just needs some time to recover. I do not have symmetry on the other side though. So that ends the symmetry of the gladiolus and the boxwoods and the nepeta. And then finally, Lulu is tired. Hannah is tired. They just got back from their walk. Over this way, where was it? Where did I put it? I put something in the ground over here. Oh, right. I got 2 Siberian irises. These are corms that I purchased bare root, and I potted them on in pots a couple of weeks ago to get a pre-sprout on them. And so now they've sprouted nicely and I've stuck them in down right there. We're gonna have tomatoes here, 2 different cherry tomatoes and a hosta and the holly, the osmanthus. So, yep. I mean, at this point, I'm just kind of sticking things into the ground without much regard for garden design. I mean, I want to kind of have strappy leaves next to frothy leaves, next to big fat leaves. Sorry about the wind. But at this point, I mean, it's really all about just putting things into the ground and letting them grow on and then see what they look like. And I can always rearrange. That is part of the fun of gardening for me. So anyway, I think that's probably bringing us to the end. Although, let me just take a look and see if there's anything else I want to put in. Well, I did plan another thing. I put this hosta in this pot and it'll just be in a container back in there, adding some green back into the back side of that border. This border is kind of a hot mess because I lost the skip laurels and I don't have a plan to replace them yet. So anyway, I got that hosta. It had been laying bare root as a clump on my sidewalk for a couple of weeks and now it's back happily into some soil. Believe it or not, my little mini nursery here is dwindling. Let's see, I still have dahlias, snapdragons, foxgloves, columbines. This is Canterbury bells. This is liriope. This is ivy I'm planning to take in and use as a house plant. This is the globe thistle. Let's see, alyssum, English daisies, pretty failed forget-me-nots back there, and alyssum. And more dahlias, and this is more forget-me-nots. That's the little tiny volunteer hosta I found somewhere. And then these are all the nepidas that I divided, and this is the goldenrod that I tore out. And believe it or not, if I put that in soil and water it, it will grow, even though it's being very much abused right now. But all in all, that's pretty good, because let me show you down this way. There's nothing left to go into the ground. All I have here is my azalea standard that I'm making, which will stay in a pot, and my carrot containers, which I'm trying to grow carrots in. So yeah, I don't have any plants here waiting to go into the ground. And down this way, let me see if I can just do a shot from up here. There's just those 4 little trays down on the ground. So, and what's in the greenhouse. Okay, but anyway, that's pretty good progress, I would say, for this weekend. So yeah, I'm pretty happy. Well, friends, I think that brings us to the end of our working weekend. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday saw a lot of progress here in the backyard. I got a lot of seedlings into the ground, and we got a lot of sod out of the ground and a lot of compost and mulch spread across the yard. So another successful weekend in the books. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll come back and follow us throughout the rest of the summer season as we continue to garden here in our backyard renovation, but also around our entire property. Have a wonderful day, friends, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.